Good evening. This is Maestro with another Faction War series in a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite modcast. And today, this series is going to be between the Space Marines and the Imperial Guard. It's going to start out on Estia Province, and our first player playing for the Space Marines is going to be Taneli, playing as the Space Marine Apothecary, a healing commander with a targeted heal, as well as later a big heal over time. His first teammate is going to be LOCALgHOST, playing as the Tech Marine, a Space Marine ranged hero with a gun for every occasion, also repairs vehicles. Finally, on the Space Marines, we are going to have Katla, I'm not sure really, playing as the Force Commander, tanky melee hero who can buff things with Battlecry and disrupt things with Battlecry. On the other team, for our Imperial Guard, we're going to have Eclipse, playing as the Commissar Lord, a slightly tanky melee hero, also works a little bit as a support hero. Next up, it's going to be Kaios, playing as the Lord General, the only squad-based hero who focuses heavily on area of effect buffs for support. And finally, it's going to be Daddy Waroth on yet another Lord Commissar. Really, that's what we call it these days. So then, looks like we're going to have double Tactical Marines going to be shot out from two angles. Actually, it's not double Tactical Marines, it's a squad of Tactical Marines and a squad of Scouts. Scouts get focused down, lose a model, and will have to get forced off. I think this in general needs to be a full retreat from Katla. I think he's being doubled, basically. It's a 2v1. He hasn't retreated yet. Yeah, the Tactical Marines, they just gotta go. They're at the point where they could start dropping a model, and they managed to get out of there before they drop a model. Probably won't drop a model even with all the range fire they're taking in retreat, just because Tacs really are that tanky. So he is getting doubled on this side, but I mean on the other side, the opposite, or rather not the opposite, the same thing. I guess you could say the opposite is happening, but it's really the same thing is happening on the other side. This is going to be Eclipse getting doubled in this lane, and both players actually called out to their teammates that they were getting doubled. So a generator bash looks like it happened here. I'm pretty sure there were some Space Marine generators that got bashed, but the node will not be touched, even with this Commissar Lord or this Lord Commissar kind of doing nothing. Well, actually, he will be bashing the side power node on one of those contested power points, and we're going to see the Sentinel coming around. The Sentinel by itself is a little bit suspect. I mean, of course it's fast, but it's also in a position where it won't be directly supported with repairs. But it looks like he's just going to go for overwhelming, aggressive stomp play, and then the Tech Marine is all by himself. Tech Marine going to go for Force Melee, but even with Force Melee Force Melee not going to shut down anything when you got a Lord General with the grenade launchers using that move ability. That's almost that comical looking speed increase that you see. Although I guess I see the reason why the grenade launcher might not be so desirable for the Lord General. Equips himself as well as his retinue with the grenade launchers, and they don't quite do direct damage with that, and their damage can actually be dodged. But it can also be quite good if the grenades actually do land. Meanwhile, on this side, we are going to have the Lord Commissar from Eclipse taking the contested victory point. It's actually a no-cap game at the moment, but soon to be a double cap for the Guard. Assault Marines will jump in. Sentinel, I was going to say potentially in a little bit of trouble, does manage a stomp to stun the Assault Marines. Not a whole lot of follow-up though, so they will just stand there, take some damage, but honestly not a whole lot. The Sentinel, however, will stay in this engagement. Doesn't have another stomp, so there's not a whole lot it can do about this Force Commander, or really anyone. At this point, there's not a whole lot of reason for the Sentinel to get that close. So Assault Marines will be forced off. Didn't lose a model, but a model was lost on this Tactical Marine squad. Meanwhile, Force Commander still just charging in, killing some models from that Guardsman squad. At some point, I think he will slowly but inevitably lose, because he's only being targeted by the Sentinel at the moment. And okay, let's see. He's getting the Artificer armor. I thought for a second he was going to get the armor of the Alacrity. I have actually not seen the armor of Alacrity even once since coming back to cast in 2020. Apothecary here is low on hit points. Looks like he would have his heal ready. I wonder if he'll use that on himself. He's up here quite forward without a whole lot of support, but some Dark Angels Tactical Marines will be moving up, scare off the Guardsmen. And it looks like Space Marines will be taking back the contested victory point on this side. So action will be going on this side. Devastator Marine's going to be knocked down by that old reliable. or maybe it's just called Overlap. I forget if there's a D in that ability, by the Katachan Devils. But the Katachan Devils up a little too far forward, taking a little too much damage. This is really, really bold by the Sentinel. I don't think it's going to pay off. I'm guessing he wanted a stomp on the Devastator Marine squad, but it was being threatened so much by all the other squads that it couldn't stick around to do that. Otherwise, it would have been killed. I don't even think it should mess around with the Tech Marine. Otherwise, that's straight up a dead Sentinel. And Tech Marine is even moving in a position to try to finish off the Sentinel, and he's kind of put the Sentinel... He put the Sentinel behind the line of sight blocker. Really should have just straight up moved it back so it could get some repairs. Actually, it was not in a very easy position to move back. So Lower General this time now has the Flak Jacket. So doubling up on War Gears for the Lord General. Flak Jacket will decrease the range damage that a squad takes. Actually, not just range damage, all damage by 30%, and makes them immune to knockback. So that can be particularly useful against the Assault Marines, since any squad that is affected by incoming will not get knocked down when the Assault Marines jump in. Of course, they do still have to worry about the damage somewhat, since they, even with the 30% damage mitigation, they can't exactly fight directly against Assault Marines. Oh my, we do have a double Assault Marine build from Katla. Very aggressive Force Commander play, especially here. It looks like they are being buffed by Battle Cry, so that does increase their damage. Makes them quite a bit more threatening. Guardsmen in this bunker have to be careful. There is no Flamer on the Tactical Marines, so no serious threat on them, but it's a risky retreat path at this point between two squads of Assault Marines, if and when they do decide to get out. Otherwise, they might just try to wait for some support. So we are seeing those Guardsmen affected by incoming. However, they are not immune to suppression when that happens. Now we see a Flamer Tactical Marine. This one is going to come from LOCALgHOST, melting those Guardsmen alive. This is a rough power push for the Guard, rather against the Guard. But Space Marines, I think, being quite successful here. But one squad of Tax really needs to be careful. Actually, this could have been a better power bash, but now with the support of LOCALgHOST, he has a Flamer. I think this should be the full power bash. So Daddy Waroth calling out that he is being doubled. What's the response on the other side? No, actually it just looks like... It looks like Kaios is attempting to help here, but it's not quite enough. Shooting with those grenades from long range, but his Guardsmen aren't quite in position yet. One squad of Assault Marines finally does get forced off. I feel like this is a slower generator bash than it should be, considering there is a Flamer Tac model here. So one, it looks like, oh, he's going to try to commit the tax to finishing off the generator. He does indeed finish it. Here is a squad of Stormtroopers that almost, it was a bit of a bait here. They look more like Katachan Devils, so it's, I think it's just the special skin from Daddy Waroth. Special army theme or army skin for him, getting those Stormtroopers that actually look more like Katachans. Razorback is going to be out. Right now, I gotta say, it definitely feels like the momentum is a bit in favor of the Space Marines. We've got this Razorback bashing a generator here when we already saw a full generator bash occur on this side. Chimera will be out for Eclipse, so dueling transporters, effectively doing almost nothing to each other. We're seeing hit points taken out one at a time from the Razorback as it is being targeted by the Chimera. The Chimera itself has also lost a whole 5 hit points in that exchange with the Razorback. Tier 1, well, not necessarily Tier 1, but piercing weapons do very, very negligible damage to vehicle armor. But on the other side, a missile launcher does not do negligible damage, so we are going to see Guardsmen actually come out and repair the Razorback. That actually will tank the damage from the TAC missile launcher. But once they start being suppressed, they really got to be careful, so that's why we do see that Chimera moving back. So Guardsmen repairing a Chimera could actually just straight up tank the damage from a TAC missile launcher. So this is going to be a Commissar Flare thrown in. Doesn't actually look like it hit the Devastator Marine squad. So that Devastator Marine squad still shooting at full range. So a little bit of a misplay there. I mean, I guess he still does reduce the range of the TAC squad. And the TAC squad, yeah, the TAC squad actually gets kind of murdered in that attempt. TAC squad just barely gets into the Razorback. And this is a very interesting fight with the use of the... No, you gotta move back, not forward. Okay, he's deciding to repair. But now the Devastator Marine squad is opening fire, and with that advanced targeting, might actually finish off the Chimera. That was a pretty close call. So Devastator Marine Squad equipped with advanced targeting does get Vengeance rounds, which does make it do more damage to vehicles. On this side, another squad of Devastator Marines potentially in a lot of trouble if it's... Okay, I was going to say, actually, well, no, it wouldn't have finished off the Devastator Marine Squad, but just because it did manage to retreat in time. Melee Tech Marine, meanwhile, upgrading to the Orbs of the Omnissiah, does already have that Axe of the Mechanicum. Personally, I always find it interesting to see that. And I think that's particularly interesting against the Imperial Guard. I wouldn't think of that as a choice warrior upgrade for playing against the Imperial Guard, since the Imperial Guard has such a range-centric army that I feel like it's going to be hard for the Tech Marine to consistently get into melee without taking a whole lot of damage before he finally gets in, especially considering LOCALgHOST chose to get the Orbs of the Omnissiah in his accessory slot instead of the energy shield. Makes it even harder to get into melee because he doesn't have that energy shield. Meanwhile, looks like a creeping barrage went down there. Assault Marine's also going to jump in to these guardsmen. They are jumping on the squad that has the plasma guns. There is another squad that has a plasma gun, so that one is being tied up by the Force Commander. And finally, all three squads do have plasma guns, but I don't know, this squad might not live that much longer to continue to use its plasma guns. We'll see just about that. So that Plasma Guardsman, a rather cost-effective way to deal with the power armor of basically most Space Marine squads. Since the Guardsmen, they take relatively... They're just so inexpensive that the cost to replace Guardsmen is very, very cheap. And if you're up against something like Attack Squad, usually you will outtrade. If you can get even just one model, it will be an outtrade. But Grenade going to go in from the Scout Squad. One of the things I missed and didn't mention, or I saw it but I didn't mention it, was this Terminator Force Commander. Terminator Force Commander, by the way, getting a new portrait in the Elite mod actually looks fantastic. That one in particular looks great. And choosing to get that Terminator Force Commander because he wants to get that Heavy Flamer, so effective against those squishy Guardsman squads that I was talking about. And I did say that, yeah, they're cheap to replace, but you will just kill them so fast with this Heavy Flamer that it's just going to threaten the Guardsmen so much off the field. Eventually those costs, as cheap as they are, will add up. And if you're just really fast enough, you might even just threaten to wipe the squad. But here we do see some potential outtrade. Tactical Marine Squad has not yet taken a loss, though. As long as it doesn't take a loss, it's not an outtrade, though. And there is one of those Guardsman squads dead. Plus 10 for the Sergeant model, it looks like. Plus 10 red, that is. So I've been focusing a lot on... Oh, my God. You can't just keep standing around in this Force Commander Flamer. I mean, yes, they do good damage to the Force Commander, but they can't just stand around in it. That's going to wipe another Guardsman squad. Oh, my God. I think, that's another one wiped for Daddy Waroth. Not quite respecting that Flamer. So I got to say, this is not looking good for our Imperial Guard players, particularly for Daddy Waroth. Don't tell me this is going to be a dead Chimera. It is going to be a dead Chimera. What did that even die from? The Librarians... Probably the Librarian's melee attack. I was going to jokingly say the Librarian's ranged attack, but more likely actually just the Librarian's sword, since he does do power melee. Power melee, which does actually do some damage to vehicles. You don't want to ignore a power melee unit that is damaging a vehicle because it does do some light damage. Another Commissar Flare going to go down here. So it looks like Eclipse is having a good end of things in this lane, but I don't think it's quite enough to equalize just how rough it is for Kaios and Daddy Waroth here. Because Daddy Waroth has lost most of his things, and a Manticore is honestly not what I want to see. The Manticore, I mean, it's like, for the first time that hits, it might get like a surprise wipe on the Devastator. But that just leaves Daddy Waroth with really even less of an army. Oh my God, and we have Assault Terminators. If Assault Terminators really, really want, they can actually just walk into the base and just beat up the Manticore. As someone who's even better at that would be the Force Commander Terminator, since he can teleport in there and then just retreat out when he's done. So engagement will happen. Manticore Strike is coming in. Going to see if he can wipe the Whirlwind with this, I think. I don't think he's going to get it. Nope. Manticore does missed those last few shots. Meanwhile, another squad went down from Kaios. Not sure which one it was, actually. Kind of missed it, but it does feel like, honestly, this game is going to come to a close pretty soon in favor of the Space Marines. Vanguard veterans here as well, and I think this is going to be the artillery spotters wipe for Kaios. I really don't see our Imperial Guard players coming back from this, and it's really just a matter of when is the concede called. Eclipse is kind of fighting his relatively even one-on-one on this side, but with how bad his teammates are being beaten on the other side, it's just a matter of time before they decide to double or even triple Eclipse in this lane. And he's actually having trouble with his Ogryns right now. Ogryns in quite a bit of trouble, actually. 200 hit points, and we'll actually get out with 3 models. I don't remember if they did have a bonehead leader. Not sure about that one. But on this side, we will see guardsmen still fighting, still attempting to hold the line to the very last. Otherwise, their commissar will shoot them in the head. Can't even get their natural victory point back. Creeping barrage at this point is not going to do a whole lot. It doesn't even get a chance to hit anyone because that is the concede. Easy game 1, easy clap, easy game 1 in favor of our Space Marines, but the series is not over yet, so let's get ready for game number 2.
Ready to serve.
We're back with game number 2, which is going to take place on Argus Desert Gate. Our first player going to be Katla on that Force Commander, tanky melee hero who can disrupt things with Battlecry and buff things with Battlecry. Next up, going to be Taneli on that Apothecary, a healing commander with a targeted heal, as well as later on he can get a big heal over time in an area. And it's going to be LOCALgHOST. I said that wrong. LOCALgHOST, playing as the Tech Marine, shooty Space Marine ranged commander with a bolter, but later on can get other weapons that can do other things. On the other team, it's going to be Eclipse on that Lord Commissar again, a slightly tanky melee hero who can also become a support, or can also do support things. Next up, it's going to be Kaios 23, playing as the Inquisitor, more of a spell-casting melee hero, also with some control, and can also become a tanky melee hero if she wants. And finally, this time, it's going to be bossening, playing as that Lord General, the only squad-based hero in the game who focuses heavily on area effects supporting abilities. And very Katachan looking with this custom theme or skin. So, that Lord General retinue member going to be replaced out in the field. A very unique ability for the Lord General that he can actually reinforce out on the field. The only, really, and as I'm pretty sure, like I'm 99.9% sure, the only unit who can reinforce out on the field without the use of a transport or like a relay. Sentinel, meanwhile, quick ground pound upgrade to scare off Katla. Katla with only that tactical marine squad, doesn't even have the scout with him. Gets forced off. Going to be probably an early bash by who is this here? This is bossening. Very slow bash. He's not moving up the guardsman fast enough. Well, one of those squads is capping. He should at least be able to finish off the node, but obviously it is quite a slow bash with just one guardsman squad and a sentinel, neither one with particularly high DPS. But in this lane, it looks like things are going a bit rough for Taneli, losing his Apothecary already. And this is a matchup where I do feel it is a little bit hard to really make a melee Apothecary work that well, because he will just get focused down. He's not so tanky unless you use the heal on the Apothecary himself, but that's usually not the best value out of the heal. Usually better used on the Tactical Marines. Very slow burn fight right here between these Tactical Marines in cover and the Sentinel. Sentinel will slowly but surely eventually win out in this one because they do have repairs. Maybe something more interesting happening here. Tactical Marines going to get stomped again. I don't know if this is more interesting. This is actually a very, very tough push up here for Katla, having trouble with that very small army. He even lost his scouts. Meanwhile, LOCALgHOST choosing to go with the double scouts. I don't know if I really, not the double scouts, but the double shotguns. I guess he might just really be concerned about that Commissar Lord. And with the double shotguns, that second shotgun blast a little premature, maybe not too much, and premature instead of premature. Now I like the control of the Commissar, but and the Sentinel is down. If anything, I felt he could have microed around a little bit even more, but actually things worked out quite well in his favor. So a bit of a misplay. Eclipse, I think, just used that Sentinel a little too aggressively, and it is a shame because otherwise I felt it was pretty... In fact, I don't feel that he ever needed to push forward with the Commissar Lord or the Sentinel. I think he was basically winning up here just by having the Sentinel shoot in range and get repairs. And if he had just positioned the Guardsmen a little bit more forward so that they could shoot and repair at the same time, I think that would have been a significantly winning fight up in the top lane for Eclipse. I think he, sad to say it, but I think he misplayed that one pretty hard. And now he is going to get a squad of Catachan Devils. I'm not sure how I feel about the Catachan Devil purchase. I mean, if the Apothecary stays in melee, it really, really prevents the Apothecary from doing anything whatsoever, but if the Apothecary chooses to go for the Combi Bolter, customized Storm Bolter rather, I think, and he's going for the Sanguine Chainsword. I don't agree with that. I really think customized Storm Bolter is the play here, because I really think that the Catachan Devils, I think, hard counter that Apothecary with the Sanguine Chainsword. I mean, first of all, they can knock him down in melee with their Shotgun Blast, and then if the Apothecary ever does get into melee, the Catachan Devils can actually just start meleeing the Apothecary. They might actually get knocked down, so I could possibly be a little bit wrong about that, but if the Apothecary does not proc a knockback, the Catachan Devils will actually rip the Apothecary apart in melee with their power melee shotguns. Anyway, Sentinel from Chaos is going to be supporting him up here against LOCALgHOST. LOCALgHOST losing a scout squad there. Man, LOCALgHOST bleeding hard in that engagement. LOCALgHOST, meanwhile, does have the Mastercrafted Bolter. This is another upgrade. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It does improve the DPS compared to his starting bolter. The thing is that it doesn't improve his DPS by a substantial amount. And I don't feel that this upgrade is worth it purely for the increase in DPS, because we can see that the DPS is 37.92 piercing. I don't remember the starting bolter's DPS off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that this is an increase of literally something like 3 or 4 DPS. So it's definitely not worth the requisition in power just for that. The main reason you get this war gear is for that high-powered shot ability, and I'm not really feeling the need for that either, considering, well, maybe he lost one squad of shotguns, so that might deter him. He might want that extra control for dealing with the Commissar Lord, but I don't feel really that it's that helpful against the Guardsman squads. So power was actually built by Chaos in this lane. I'm assuming it was built by Chaos. Yeah, no, it would be. I think these would be some yellow generators if they were built by Katla. Meanwhile, big Space Marine blob up here, gonna split apart, unblob, move forward for Generator Bash. What do we have in terms of dealing with this Generator Bash? So for now, this Generator Bash is mostly gonna go unanswered, just not enough units to deal with it. And our Imperial Guard player is doing better than last game, especially with a almost 200-point victory lead, but I think Eclipse is a little bit of trouble in this top lane. If there's anything that could turn this game back in favor of our Imperial Guard players, it would be how well or how not well Eclipse is doing in this top lane. I don't feel that his current army is really sufficient to deal with bossening. He's actually going to use the Catachan Devil Shotgun Blast to knock over the scouts. He's going to focus on the Tactical Marines. Actually does scare them off because the threat of that Plasma Guardsman squad as well as the Catachan Devils will threaten to bleed a model. All things considered, this engagement is being managed rather well, so I was pretty much wrong about I didn't feel that his army was sufficient enough to win, but I think it was more about just about how he used it, his target selection, his focus. So on this side, an unmicroed Sentinel gonna go down. What is that? Man, that is rough. So, I mean, our Imperial Guard players are in the lead at the moment, undeniably so, but I'm definitely seeing some ways that they're playing that could open the door back up for our Space Marine players. But our Space Marine players, nevertheless, still at a significant disadvantage, although we saw the power bash from LOCALgHOST in this lane. We got to remember, that it was, who was in this lane? It was bossening. Yes, it was bossening who had such a significant stranglehold on the power farm in this bottom lane for so long that it put the Space Marines behind in tech. Going double Assault Marines didn't quite help. It might help in terms of fighting, but it has really put Katla behind in tech. LOCALgHOST, meanwhile, hasn't even started Tier 2. That's how much he's struggling. I mean, he definitely had quite a few power expenditures in the form of those shotgun scouts, the mastercrafted bolter, flamer attack. Here is some more of that is going to be the incoming ability from that Lord General. Incoming ability just reducing the range damage that these squads are going to take, and again makes them immune to knockback. So even if the Assault Marines jump on them, it's going to have much, I wanted to say minimal effect, but I'm not quite sure if that would be true. Certainly, obviously less effect than if they actually got knocked down, because then they need to actually go through the whole getting back up animation. But even if they are jumped on, when they do have the incoming ability, they do still have to worry about being tied up and not being able to do their range damage. Since Guardsman melee damage is very insignificant, and Assault Marines will just start ripping the Guardsmen apart. And this Guardsman squad, I don't know if it's going to make... Yeah, this is a close call. I think it does make it out. No, it doesn't. Man, I mean, they started out with something like 92 hit points, but I guess there were just so many units here. Triple attacks, shotgun scouts. Then you even have the Assault Marines and the Apothecary adding a little bit of damage in with their bolt pistols. So this is pretty scary, though. We've got double Guardsmen with flamers. Sorry, no, with plasma guns. Catachan Devils going to use the shotgun blast to knock down the Assault Marines. Catachan Devils need to be really careful, though. They get back into the Chimera, because those Catachan Devils are losing so much health and not reinforcing, just the way they work. Okay, here is... Oh, this is actually bad for that Chimera. There's not enough to deal with. We need something to actually tie up the Tech Marine. The Commissar Lord really needs to have his... He really needs to focus on the Tech Marine, and now that he's going to be actually dying, it really just needs to be the range fire, focusing down the Tech Marine, and it's not soon enough to save the Chimera. So this is our Space Marine players coming back into the game. Are we going to have another Guardsman squad wiped? It better not be. All right, this one will be fine. More Plasma Guardsmen. And these Plasma Guardsmen, I did talk before about how effective they can be against power armor, but oh my god, are they being burned alive by the Flamer? Really need to try to split up those Guardsmen. See, this is a better position for the Guardsmen, not being in Flamer range. And once they see the Flamer attack moving forward, they really need to try to move back. Meanwhile, that is going to be a Hell Fury strike. That Prometheum coming down, actually just walking the scout out of there instead of standing around, or instead of just full retreating. And choosing to reinforce the scout, I think, off this Razorback. But might risk going down here. Actually going to go down because there was that interception there. This is going to be... Who is this going to be? This is going to be bossening with this Chimera. And he's got the Meltagun on the Catachan Devils to actually threaten the Razorback with some AV damage. And here is a missile Sentinel. I thought it was going to pursue the Razorback. There is a small chance of actually finishing off the Razorback there with both the Meltagun on that Catachan Sarge as well as the Crack Missile. So Crack Missiles have been unloaded and Frag Missiles have been loaded into their place. Unfortunately, that Sentinel is targeting the Assault Marines, whereas I feel it should target the TAC Squad. Actually, TAC Squad is out of here. Now, if anything, has to be more careful about friendly fire. Now maybe should target the Assault Marines. Assault Marines just going to get out of there, period. And, oh, we got IEDs laid down all over the place. Bossening actually really playing like a boss at the moment. Kind of carrying this Imperial Guard team, since Chaos and Eclipse are kind of struggling. Creeping Barrage will go down. Just scares the Space Marines into a full retreat. Creeping Barrage hitting your own units. So, meanwhile, Lord General now has the Meltaguns. And those Meltaguns do give the Lord General the fight harder ability, increasing weapon rate of fire, effectively meaning just a DPS increase for Guardsman squads. Obviously, gotta be real careful about that Plasma Devastator. I think the Plasma Devastator actually detonated the IED. So Yeah, I mean, the Meltagun obviously can be potentially threatening against all that power armor, since Plasma Guardsmen can be threatening enough just in their vanilla form, but when buffed by Fight Harder and firing faster, they can melt Tactical Marines even faster. Typically, I actually think more of the Sniper Rifle as being a choice upgrade when I think all the way back to the days of Toylali being a dirty IG abuser, and I mean one of the best players in the game as Lord General. I think he would often use the Sniper Rifle to just increase the range of guardsmen so that they would be shooting in a position where they would basically be unthreatened because they would just outrange other range squads. Whereas in this case, although you get that increased damage, you still need to be in range of other range squads, and for most range squads in this game, there's a universal standard for range. I believe it's 38 units, and Tactical Marines and Guardsmen do share that. So even with that Fight Harder, he would have to trade. Fortunately, it's got to be a dead Sentinel. Yeah, there's no chance for that Sentinel. Looks like there wasn't much of a chance for that Chimera either. And I talked up how much of a boss that boss was playing like, but he loses 2 units right in that engagement. But meanwhile, it's going to be Leman Russes coming out of Eclipse and Chaos. Taneli with 1.5k wreck. Yeah, I don't know quite what you're doing there. Like, I think that's like you buy generators for the whole team, and I think you get a tac squad out just for the hell of it. The only problem with an extra tac squad is, well, I mean, at some point you got to learn how to do it, but so many squads you do kind of tax your micro. Oh, but here's the Leman Russ out. Taneli calling the Leman Russ. I don't know if Taneli gets to save his Razorback. I think he does, actually. I think the Leman Russ is too slow in comparison to the Razorback. The only problem is that, I mean, once Leman Russes are out on the field, especially this one got the Vanquisher Cannon, that really limits the effectiveness of the Razorback. It's a lot harder for the Razorback to actually do stuff once there are tanks out on the field, because it will lose handily head-to-head to any tank. At least against the Leman Russ, it can drive away if it is not snared. Double Meltabombs going off, as well as the missile attack, but the support from these Plasma Guards, we're going to focus down these Tactical Marines. Tactical Marines, well, I don't think they get out of there alive. Missile attack goes down. That is rough for Katla. Ooh, and especially like this Leman Russ. Yeah, that's the Russ. The one with that guards with that Commissar on top. That's great. You can bet that will be the thumbnail for this cast. Just gotta remember, game 2, Leman Russ, or Commissar Lord. Commissar Lord. Lord Commissar, really. Anyway, yeah, we just see there's not a whole lot the Razorback can do against the Russ, because it will just take damage. It can't really... It can't stick around because it doesn't have as much health either. And we're also seeing all these Leman Russes, or at least 2 of them. 2 of them have already been upgraded with Vanquisher Cannons. If anything, at the moment, the Vanquisher Cannon is kind of unnecessary. And actually, I don't like the Vanquisher Cannon upgrade that much. Could save those resources, use it to get out another Leman Russ. The main thing that it does do is it makes the Razorback even more useless than it already is. And the Razorback at this point is basically being a mobile relay beacon. Not to be confused with relay bacon, which is what you have in the morning after you respawn from a relay beacon. Bane Wolf. Oh man, I thought that was just another Chimera, but this is a Bane Wolf, and that is a concede. So nicely played by our Imperial Guard players to come back in this series. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far and looking forward to the rest of the games in this series. So let's move on to Game 3. All right, then. Game number 3 in our faction war between the Space Marines and the Imperial Guard will take place on Katrin Purification Plant. Our first player going to be LOCALgHOST on that Tech Marine yet again, a shooty Space Marine ranged hero with a gun for every occasion. Can also repair vehicles. Next up, it's going to be Taneli on the Apothecary, I believe. No, he's still the Apothecary. He always was, I think. The Apothecary, going to be a healing commander, can have a targeted heal. Later on, he can get an area of effect heal over time. and it's going to be Katla reprising his role as the Force Commander, a tanky melee hero who can buff things with Battle Cry and disrupt things with Battle Cry. On the other team, our Imperial Guard player is going to be Eclipse on the Lord Commissar. Got it right this time. Slightly tanky melee hero, can also do support abilities. Next up, going to be Kaios. Kaios playing as the Inquisitor. Inquisitor going to be a spellcaster, some offensive spells, some control spells, can also become a melee tank. Finally, it's going to be bossening. Yet again, on this Lord General, the only squad-based hero in the game. This hero with a lot of support abilities to buff Imperial Guard units. So I'm liking the way this faction war is going. Both games, each game, the first two games were actually pretty strongly in favor of one side. Actually, you know, Game 2 actually looked like it could have gone either way for a while, but our Imperial Guard players definitely had the edge. So, Scout's going to be in cover, Tech Marine's going to be in cover, Tactical Marine's in cover. Going to be a very slow burn fight right here. Who's going to try to break through and make something more interesting happen? Otherwise, I'm going to have to go over here and wonder why I missed this Inquisitor being killed. So, Sentinel does choose to move in. And it's a little bit strange. I guess he's not being threatened enough, but he needs to be really careful here. He's going deep sea fishing with this Sentinel, because at some point he is going to get surrounded. Actually, wow, Tech Marine nearly died in that. I guess being focused down while the Sentinel was drawing attention. He will knock over some of that cover. Yeah, good. He does manage to knock over all that cover, whereas he wasn't able to knock over the kind of the walls that were around here. So, meanwhile, not worth it to really push up into the scouts. Actually, no, it's super worth it. What am I talking about here? Those turrets are nowhere to be found, and then he can actually start bashing. Yeah, move up. Bash a generator. Let's focus fire on that generator. I would really prefer... yes, there we go. Focus fire on the generators. They're easier to kill than the node. They are responsible for more of the power income. Meanwhile, what's going on over here? We are going to see more guardsmen coming in. They want a little piece of those generators. So LOCALgHOST calling that he is getting doubled. Oh no, leading in with the scouts. Oh my god, that could be wipes on scouts. Even if that's not a wipe, that was 4 scout models killed very unnecessarily. And it's going to straight up be a lost engagement no matter what here for LOCALgHOST. He is getting doubled. We called that out. Finally, here's some response from Taneli. But with so much of LOCALgHOST units off the field, I don't know what... and we see just how little this apothecary can do as a melee apothecary. So it's my personal opinion. I really feel for the apothecary to really function in this matchup, I really feel that he does need that customized Storm Bolter. Meanwhile, that Lord General getting out of there with about 5 or 6 hit points. Oh no, these stomps, they're just too much. A little bit too aggressive on those stomps, and that Sentinel was just an easy kill. And I mean, it's rough. Like, yes, sometimes that Sentinel, that aggressive Sentinel can make the play for you, but you just got to be so careful. You need to be so on top of your micro. And as much as the Sentinel is cheap, it really does hurt to lose that Sentinel that early. It does. The Sentinel, actually such a cost-effective unit, but still, you don't want to lose it that early if you do actually commit to getting it. And I mean, for the most part, the Sentinel is such a core unit for the Imperial Guard. If you are an Imperial Guard player, using the Sentinel well is a key ability to actually succeed as an Imperial Guard player. And there are some builds that exist that do not have a Sentinel in them, but I would definitely say they make up the minority of Imperial Guard builds. So, Devastator Marine's going to be shooting point blank at a generator. I believe they actually bash it faster this way. The Apothecary is continuing to be ineffective in melee. Just getting focused down so quick. Sentinel stomp, but again, we have a Sentinel that needs to be very, very careful. Like, ideally, I'm stuttering, but in my opinion, I feel like the Sentinel should most of the time be in a position where it is at its max range. At its max weapon range, that is. Which kind of maximizes its safety. And in practice, of course, there will be times when it won't. But I feel like, in principle, you should have your Sentinel at max, shooting at max range at a squad. Meanwhile, we are going to have a Tarantula turret placed here. Tarantula turret, if anything, I feel the Tarantula turret could be placed a little bit more forward. But it looks like instead he's choosing to put the Devastator Marines forward for that suppression. I feel like Devastator Marines, yeah, they really want to set up. I think they need a slightly better firing arc. But I mean, that will cover most approaches. But I feel like it should cover everything from here too. So I think it could be moved a little bit to the right, like 10. Oh no! Look, the Sentinel goes down as well. That's rough. All things considered, Devastator Marine Squad could be in a little bit of trouble. One model did go down. I wonder if that was from the Hammer of the Witches from the Inquisitor. Inquisitor does get into tied up. That does force the Devastator Marines to retreat, but now she's in range of the turrets firing on her. Oh, Tactical Marines too close though. This actually ends some of this generator bashing, but even the scouts with their puny bolters are able to finish off that generator that had so little health left on it. Tactical Marines actually stay in here, looking to continue the bash with the support of that turret. Tech Marine's going to be moving back in, yet again getting that mastercrafted bolter. It actually has the Artificer armor. So in other games featuring Tech Marines, we've seen the effectiveness of the Signum armor. Artificer armor allows the Tech Marine to actually deploy proximity mines. Suppresses, snares vehicles, and of course it does damage. Gives the Tech Marine a sizable health buff as well. 200 hit points. Meanwhile, man, talk about power bashes. This is getting rough for our Imperial Guard players. Suffered a full power bash on the other side. I think this is a full power bash on this side, but here is the response from Eclipse. Eclipse with shotguns from Katachan Devils, trying to put in some damage on the Tactical Marines. Katachan Devils getting low, but they don't drop too many models. Just because of the way they work, where they don't really start dropping models until most of the squad is dead. It's going to be a retreat from Eclipse. So support's going to be coming in now from, this is going to be from Kaios. Kaios with those double guardsmen. Those guardsmen are not close enough to the Chimera. They're about, okay, they don't get suppressed because Hammer of the Witches, I think, was used on the Devastator Marine Squad. And now we're going to start tying up the Devastator Marine Squad with the Inquisitor. And guardsmen finally get back into the Sentinel. Inquisitor, I think, is now, Inquisitor's dead. So, we are going to see Eclipse coming back out, trying to get a Sentinel of his own. But this could be rough. This is looking like... although the victory points are in favor of the Guardsman players at 411 to 293, the way that our Space Marine players are just strangling the Guard players out of their power and just bullying them off of it is really, really troubling. Proximity mine will be planted, planting another proximity mine. So Guardsmen are able to get around that Tarantula turret to try to finish it off, and it will be enough to finish off the turret. Meanwhile, on this side, we are going to have our Commissar drop a flare, but Assault Marines will jump into the Guardsmen. Another jump by the Assault Marines. It's a lot of disruption on the Guardsmen, but the Assault Marines eventually decide that they want to retreat out of there and try not to lose any models, and success. They don't lose any models whatsoever. So the Chimera's here. Chimera, well, there is no damage yet to actually really deal with the Chimera. I don't see a missile attack upgrading here. How about here? Okay, here is the missile attack coming in. So I feel like Eclipse eventually has to realize that one of these squads could start equipping a missile attack, and there it is, and that's why he does fully back out of there. And of course, we did also have the advanced targeting on the Devastator Marines, but that by itself is really not threatening enough. Pretty easy to micro out of that. Meanwhile, we're actually going to have Bossening this is Bossening. Really wants to counter bash that he actually commits to a flamer on a Guardsman squad. That is honestly really surprising, just because we're at this point, we're in Tier 2, where plasma guns would really be desirable. And unlike Tactical Marines, getting a flamer on the Guardsman squad actually locks them out of getting a plasma gun. Since most squads, other than those Tactical Marines, once you get a weapon upgrade, you are committed to it. I like this pincer on the Devastator Marine squad. And that's just going to be a full retreat on that Devastator Marine squad. Although, no models lost yet. In spite of it, feels like 1,000 las guns, or 1,000 las guns. Where's the Manticore Strike, though? I'm hearing a Manticore Strike. I couldn't find the Manticore Strike. I heard it go in. Where did it happen? Anyway, attacks are incoming. The Chimera actually doing work here. Where is the anti-vehicle response? Vanguard Veterans, not exactly an anti-vehicle response, but I talked about earlier how power melee is, although not seriously threatening, is still something that you can't just ignore. So Chimera will drive out of the way. Chimera will walk out of the way. Oh no, this Chimera in trouble though. This Chimera does not get out of here alive, and I bet there are guardsmen inside of it, and they will need to retreat. I don't know what that flank angle was, or maybe it got flanked, I'm not sure. I'm a little bit worried here. No, this stomp is way too aggressive. That is 100% a dead Sentinel. I mean, I don't know. Was he just trying to get sight for a Manticore? Manticore takes out the Razorback. Sentinel for Razorback. Is that worth it? I would actually say that is a winning trade. That's my best guess. I guess the Sentinel was sighting for the Manticore, but what's going on with these guardsmen? Why are they wiping? Unfortunately, whenever it does start looking good for our guardsmen players, there are some things that they do end up making mistakes on that make me wonder if they're going to lose this game. So tried to split his units to get around the Devastator Marine Squad. Devastator Marine Squad does spread. Devastator Marine actually switches to Vengeance rounds. Problem is, you switch to Vengeance rounds, you lose that suppression. So when it does just need to retreat there. So what is going to be going on here? A call-in of Stormtroopers going to be immediately focusing on the Tech Marine. Tech Marine, though, plants a proximity mine, does not quite arm yet. And oh, we've got another Force Commander Terminator out of Katla. Meanwhile, over here, Stormtroopers continuing to shoot at this Tech Marine, but Tech Marine managing to get kills first. Deciding he does just want to go in melee. He's not going to do that much damage, though, now that he's actually committed to Force. Where is the Manticore Strike? Where is it? It is in there. And can it get a wipe on the Devastated Marine Squad? Does not get the wipe, but we are going to see the end of another Chimera. So Chimera was slowed by the Melta Bomb from the Assault Marines, and then just a lot of damage coming in from that Devastated Marine Squad. So victory points are now starting to go in favor of our Space Marines. It did look like the Guard players were starting to come back into that. They were starting to come back into it. They certainly pushed out of their power farms, but now they're starting to lose units. They actually now have the victory point deficit, whereas they held onto the lead for so long. Oh no! And now we've got Assault Marines in range of a Manticore. That is because they're actually pushing so close to the base. I wondered. I think the Assault Marines probably were not ready to use a Melta Bomb. Because, I mean, if we have this Manticore with... Oh, no. This is the Tech Marine just shooting at the... Assault Marines might be able... Oh, no. They can't jump in and use the Melta Bomb. All right, so it will survive. All right, Tech Marine is revived. Manticore Strike coming in, though. What is it going to knock down? It's going to knock down nothing because it's just a full retreat. Meanwhile, up here, Catachan Devils. This straight up needs to be a treat. Just way too many Space Marine units. Looks like someone got a decap on the victory point for the Space Marines. But victory points now starting to tick down heavily in favor of our Space Marine players. 293 to 183. Assault Marines jumping in. Instant retreats. Soon to be, it's right now it's a 1-to-1 cap, but soon to be a 2-to-1 in favor of our Space Marine players with this victory point. That's soon going to be capped. Guardsmen going to get jumped on. I think we need some turnaround focus fire from the rest of these Guardsmen squads. That should be, Vanguard Veterans should be focused down pretty quickly, but they might have another jump soon. Oh no, but they gotta respect this Force Commander Terminator, and this time they are indeed. But where are these Catachan Devils going? Oh no, and these Stormtroopers kind of just left here to die. And actually they retreat, so they're actually just fine, but they are going to be getting off the field, and this is starting to be really, really rough. Staggered approaches by our Guardsmen players. It's going to be a bossening trying to come back out here, focusing on the Scouts first. Going to bleed them real quick. Grenade will be complete. Oh no! If that was just a retreat in response to the grenade, that would have been really, really sad, but I guess retreat in response to that Terminator Force Commander being so tough. Manticore Strike does knock down the Tactical Marines, but does not really manage to kill them off or really do any significant damage to them. Anyway, Melee Apothecary, still going with that Melee Apothecary. Oh god, that is a dead Guardsman squad. Melee Apothecary with the improved medical equipment. I don't know at this point. There was a time when this game was looking good for our Imperial Guard players, but it does feel like that time has long since passed, with the Force Commander just opening fire with that flamethrower. Heavy flamer. He will not even be killed in retreat. Terminator's going to be just jumping in, and right now the victory points are actually just so heavily in favor of our Imperial Guard team. Bossening is calling a concede, because at this point there's actually no way they get back out on the field in time to get decaps and full caps, so that will be the concede in favor of our Space Marine players. So series is now 2-1 in favor of the Space Marines. It's time for Game 4 with our Space Marine players on match point. Alright then, it's time for game number 4 in our Faction War series between the Space Marines and the Imperial Guard. Game number 4 will take place on Quest Redemption, and our first player. No commander changes for our Space Marine players. Going to be Taneli on that Apothecary. Space Marine healer who has a targeted heal. Later on can get a bigger heal effect area over time. That made no sense. But anyway, it's going to be LOCALgHOST on the Tech Marine yet again. Shooty Space Marine ranged hero with a gun for every occasion and can also repair. And finally, it's going to be Katla yet again, playing as the Force Commander. Tanky melee hero who can disrupt with Battlecry and buff with Battlecry. But I bet he'll be going for that Terminator Force Commander. The other team, this time it's going to be Kaios playing as that Lord General. Lord General, the only squad-based hero in the game who focuses on area of effect buffs. It's going to be bossening on the Inquisitor this time, and quite an Inquisitor skin we have here. Inquisitor is a spellcasting and control hero, can also become a melee tank if you want. And finally, there will be Eclipse playing as the Lord Commissar. This is a slightly tanky melee hero who can also support. So then, Quest Redemption, we are going to have one contested victory point up here, currently being contested, and it looks like Taneli is on the losing end of this initial attempt to take control. Well, it looks like he capped it, but then he lost the engagement, so that will be the contested victory point going back to the Imperial Guard. Lost a model in the Tactical Marine squad. Speaking of Tactical Marines losing models, one model was lost there. Will there be another taken down in retreat? No. Imperial Guard, as a heavily ranged-oriented army, is not particularly good at scoring model kills in retreat, especially in Tier 1. They have a few more options for being able to get retreat kills in Tier 2, but in Tier 1 they're pretty limited. Certainly, unless you get Catachan Devils, and also, I guess, Commanders would be the next best thing. So, Kyle's trying to move in. Did he get a generator there? I missed that. Looks like, yeah, he definitely put some pressure on these generators. This one's actually being repaired, and a Devastator Marine squad will be set up in an attempt to deter this generator bash. And I see we're very consistently getting that advanced targeting upgrade. I didn't comment on it that much as being out of the ordinary in the past games, but I feel like we've been seeing, I mean, here it is again. I mean, one of the big reasons for that is the threat that it does put on the Sentinel. Since the Sentinel, oh my god, this is probably a dead Sentinel. Yeah. So, just as I'm talking about the threat put on that Sentinel, I see someone wandering into the firing arc of a Devastator Marine squad with advanced targeting. Not worth it, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the effect of it, because what Devastator Marines, or really any suppression team, do is they really limit the operating range of the Sentinels. The way setup teams and really suppression weapons work is that they do more damage the closer you get to them. So you can't advance too far into the firing arc of really any setup team. And that's true for any setup team, no matter what. But especially against those those Vengeance Rounds Devastators, where once they pop those Vengeance Rounds, suddenly they're doing a whole lot more damage to the Sentinel. And if anything, that Sentinel did not go down as fast as I thought it would. But it did go down in the end, much as I expected. So this Sentinel really needs to be moving back again. I like to talk about how I feel like Sentinel should be shooting at max range, whereas this Scout Squad, well, this Scout Squad is in cover. I think now it's in max range, but Assault Marine's going to jump in. Their max range, at least for their chain swords, is like 0. Probably not, actually. It probably has a little bit longer range than that. Grenade going to go in. Completely misses the Catachan Devils. That was super close. I thought that was going to hit them. So Eclipse having the better end of... No, this isn't Eclipse. This is Chaos having the better end of things on this side. Grenades slowly going in from long range. From that Lord General. Slowly taking down that Devastator Marine squad to scare him off. And here's the approach by LOCALgHOST to try to deal with the contested victory point. Yeah, Inquisitor is all by herself there, so she is not... I mean, inevitably, she just has to retreat. Even attempting to wipe her in retreat with those Vengeance Rounds, but not going to be enough. So Commissar is in here. And once I feel this Sentinel needs to move back. Okay, we are going to see Scouts take cover in the bunker. Of course, this is a map-based bunker, not one put down by any of our Imperial Guard players. And the Assault Marines, they do not get out of there without losing a model. They do lose one model before they have to leave. And eventually, the Scouts really need to leave too, because Guardsmen could put pressure on that just by shooting it. Catachan Devils could put even more by using Old Reliable. So, Tech Marine will be revived by the Apothecary. And the Generators will be targeted by some Tactical Marines, but one of those Tactical Marines actually exploded from those grenades that were thrown in from the Lord General. Those grenades are nothing to laugh at, or sneeze at, or joke about, or whatever verb you do about grenades. Anyway, that's going to be an Inquisitor going down. But I was going to say, it didn't feel like it was quite fast enough. Oh, but that's going to be a Apothecary going down in return. Is he going to... Oh my god, the Apothecary actually gets out of there alive because of the fact that all those Guardsmen were suppressed. As well as the Catachan Devils. I was actually surprised to see that. Pretty lucky for Taneli, if I gotta say. And also super lucky to be getting Tactical Marines with 3 models at only about 10% of their hit points. My math is a little off. That's more like 12? Anyway. Devastators with those Vengeance Rounds once again trying to threaten that Sentinel, but they are at really long range and eventually they will be overwhelmed. This Sentinel was also getting repairs. Scouts, let's see if this grenade is dodged. It's not going to be dodged. That's going to be actually okay. Okay, the more +3s I saw, it seemed it was better. Like when that grenade first exploded, it looked like it was literally 1 model killed, but then it jumped up to like 7, since there was no reaction whatsoever to that grenade. Assault Marines just going to be cutting apart Guardsmen like butter through a knife or something like that. However that expression goes. And 1 Assault Marine model does go down. Saw that +17 on the red. And this will be a 1 engagement for Eclipse in this lane. I think he was trying for that force melee with these Catachans, and it's Catachans actually from both Bossening and Eclipse who actually do quite a bit of melee damage. Katla getting the wrong armor, and finally we see the armor of the Alacrity, but we also know for sure that it was a literal accident. Increases the Force Commander's health by 100 compared to 200 for the Artificer armor. Does give him a passive speed increase as well as the sprint ability, which gives him an even bigger but temporary speed increase. So it does look like Taneli and LOCALgHOST are together here, pushing off Chaos from this approach. Kaios unfortunately going to have to retreat his heavy weapon squad, which actually upgraded to an autocannon. That autocannon. Interesting to see that picked up. It doesn't... I mean, the autocannon is a strange upgrade in that an autocannon is almost never really exactly necessary. It's more of like, can you make this work? Grenade goes in. This one will be dodged. Guardsmen are so bunched up, but they also have so much plasma damage. Not all of these guardsmen actually equipped, but having them bunched up so much does mean that every single one of them got suppressed by a single devastated Marine squad. Smoke grenade goes down from the Catachan Devils. Apothecary is now in melee. I think he should just be focused down yet. So more and more, even though the Space Marines are in the lead in this series, I'm just not seeing the value of a melee Apothecary against the Imperial Guard. At least not in a team game. Maybe in a 1v1 game where things are a little bit different. Ooh, this should be the end of this Tactical Marine squad, but somehow, yes, he finally does go down. So one tac squad down. I think that was for LOCALgHOST. It's just so hard for the Apothecary to really contribute to combat. He becomes like almost more of a heal bot if you just have him with a melee weapon, and if you try to actually fight with him in melee, things like this happen. And again, I say that might not be as much in 1v1 games, but in team games I feel it's very much the case. So, over on this side, Assault Marines will be overwhelmed. Jump in. Yeah, I was going to say, probably just going to be an instant retreat right after that jump in. They're probably going for... It looks like they were just bashing a bit. They probably took down one generator and took this one down to about 55% of its hit points. Lull in the action, but Space Marine players in a bit of a rough spot with 2 Space Marine heroes dead. I would say... Probably should be Taneli should revive, should buy back his Apothecary, then maybe use Laramund's Blessing. I blanked out on that one for a little bit. Laramund's Blessing to revive the Force Command. Although Katla's Requisition is in a good enough spot that he could also just buy back too, and that would let Taneli save the red. So autocannon. Now, autocannon doesn't provide any control whatsoever, but it does provide anti-all damage. Autocannon does not get knocked down by the Assault Marines because they did have their Refractor Field. This time knocked down because they had unset up. Refractor Field only active when they are actually set up. Ooh, wow. Staggered deaths coming from... This is going to be... This is probably... Oh! But here is the Assault Cannon Dreadnought. Not a great answer for this. The best answer for this would be the Assault Cannon the autocannon. The autocannon... Oh my god, what is it? The autocannon heavy weapon team. Autocannon heavy weapon team is set up backwards. This is not good at all. Meanwhile, double vengeance rounds, but I think one of them was hit by Judgment. Yeah, that's going to be Judgment from the Inquisitor. Looks like Inquisitor might be in retreat here, though, so she won't be able to continue to contribute with this. But there isn't really a strong enough answer to the Dreadnought yet. We do have crack missiles coming out of one of these Sentinels. What is this going to be? Is this going to be some Stormtroopers? I think this is going to be Stormtrooper call-in. Probably wants to upgrade to the anti-armor kit, providing melt-a-guns and a melt-a-bomb. So... a lot of shooting in that game. Oh no, what is the Sentinel doing? It's in Tier 2, and as much as it's not easy to keep Sentinels alive in Tier 2, that was a very, very unnecessary... I mean, what was that? Kill the Sentinel to sight for a Creeping Barrage? Creeping Barrage is not even that high impact of an ability, at least not for, like, in terms of damage. I don't think it's worth killing. I don't think it's worth losing your Sentinel for. Oh no. So Melt-a-Bomb hits that Chimera. Must have been a rear armor hit because that took out a huge chunk or something. But Melt-a-Bomb will also go in on the Dreadnought, but this also means the Stormtroopers are revealed. But there's actually not a whole lot to threaten the Stormtroopers. Now, the Dreadnought might actually make it out of this alive. It is being repaired by the blessing of the Omnicide, being targeted by the Stormtroopers. If that Sentinel with the missile launcher was still alive, this would 100% be a dead Dreadnought. It might actually be dead anyway, but man, he's playing around with those line of sight blockers. This might actually be saving the Dreadnought. Are you kidding me? The Dreadnought stays alive. That is ridiculous. Like actually, it's for sure. If the Sentinel with that missile launcher had not died so unnecessarily, this would 100% be a dead Dreadnought. While on this side, these might be 100% dead scouts, except I think they get a Sergeant upgrade. So they're not dead. Last shots going in. I mean, this is 5 guardsmen, but so many that don't have plasma guns for Kaios. And, I mean, they can still... Especially with, okay, now they're finally getting plasma guns. I just feel the value of those plasma guns against things like tactical marines is just way too high to not get it. And this Dreadnought still just walking around. We're going to see a bunch of suppression. Oh my god, suppression combined with the assault cannon barrage. It doesn't actually look like they lost a huge amount of models, but they lost so much health that they did retreat. Although we might be able to see, since it looks like all of these squads are upgraded. No, well, yes, the guardsman squads are upgraded with commissars. The Catachan Devils are not, because they can't be upgraded to commissars. They could have done like a summary execution to cancel their retreat and then try to get in range of Kaios' Chimera. I think you can reinforce off a friendly Chimera. I'm not sure actually. Chimera might not be around much longer though. Melt-a-bomb on this Tech Marine, but the Tech Marine is smacking the Chimera in melee. Okay, that will be the end of the Chimera. Oh man, that's rough. I'm sort of cheering for our Imperial Guard players here. No bias, except for the fact that there is. And Assault Marines will retreat off the field because they do not want to get hit probably by the Judgment ability. I'm not 100% sure if the retreat is actually necessary. They could have kind of just walked away from the Inquisitor and make sure that they stay out of her range. But I guess he just wants them to. As long as they need to not fight, they could just go back to base and actually restore all their hit points. Although they were still at something like 75 or 80% of their hit points. But why not 100? Anyway, there is, oh man, I need to double check these. The Excruciator's ore here from the Inquisitor grants the Assail ability, and that was that almost like a basket. It was like a basket that was woven around that Tech Marine, which does immobilize him. Oh my. And here is a Land Raider out of Taneli. I'm pretty sure this is the first one we've seen all series. Double Dreadnought out from LOCALgHOST. One with a multi-melta, one with the Assault Cannon. I know his thinking is like, oh, he wants to be able to deal with any vehicles, but I actually really believe it should have just been a double Assault Cannon, just with the range that those weapons have. Since I talked earlier on in the series, I talked about standard weapon range. The Assault Cannon Dreadnought does not have standard weapon range. Its range is actually extended by comparison. Default weapon range, I believe, is 38 units. I think, off the top of my head, Assault Cannon Dreadnought range, I think, is 49 range. So it's pretty long. It's just so much damage that comes in from such long range on such a tanky platform. Baneblade, by the way, but in a place where there's not a whole lot going on. Looks like the Baneblade is going to attempt a power bash against some Assault Terminators. But more is going on over here with Assault Marines jumping in. Once again, there's that melee Apothecary so low in health, just a quick retreat. And not much is going to be achieved in that engagement. See, like if we had I mean, I guess we see this Dreadnought moving. I mean, this Dreadnought is almost moving into melee range. Like, at that point, I almost feel like might as well just get a melee Dreadnought or keep it as melee. Except for the fact that the autocannon was not microed at all. Not even just a panic retreat to save it. And the autocannon Dreadnought does die. So that's also why I talked before about how you rarely ever need an autocannon. And if anything here, because of that autocannon, I think it was Kaios who had that heavy weapon team. he was actually really hurting by not having a las cannon. When you've got this, when you've got double dreadnoughts, whether it's las cannons, whether it's multi-meltas, assault cannons, or even just a power fist, you really need a las cannon heavy weapon team to deal with that. Assault Marine's going to jump in, actually uses the heal on the Assault Marines, which is really the right way that you should be using Assault Marines combined with the Apothecary. Apothecary at this point, though, unfortunately, we're also seeing not the right way to use the Apothecary. With him just going in there for melee, just getting focused down by like 7 different units and just dying because of it. Meanwhile, over here, Catachan Devils will bash. So, this has so far been a pretty long game, and our Imperial Guard players, though, a little bit low on victory points. They have the double cap. Oh my god, that Assault Cannon Dreadnought just... Unfortunately, that looks almost like Panic Retreats going in there. So we have a Lehman Russ out from Kaios. I don't disagree with the Lehman Russ at all, but I still want to see a heavy weapon team out from someone on the Imperial Guard side, especially once that autocannon heavy weapon team died for Kaios. There hasn't been a replacement, and there are no heavy weapon teams for our Guard players. I really want to see a las cannon. So meanwhile, this Sentinel has been kept alive with a missile launcher. Tech Marine might go down in a retreat here, though. Close call, and he actually does not go down. Meanwhile, plasma cannon shots are going to be coming in from long range. This one belongs to Taneli. He's the only one who has a plasma cannon. And I find it funny that they're calling the Lehman Russes a lemon. Lehman is actually spelled differently. I think a squad was wiped there while I was joking about lemons and Lehman. Lehman has an A instead of an O. But for all I know, that could be intentional. It could be a meme. It could be a joke. It could be a spelling error, in which case it's not intentional, unless it's also a meme. All right. While we have this lonely action. So speaking of, if we had a Lemon Russ, someone should try to make like a meme of that, where you have a picture of a lemon, but you put like a battle cannon on top of it and some bolters on the side, and maybe you have a commissar sticking out on top of it. That would be a Lemon Russ. Meanwhile, this Bane Blade is committed to keeping the bottom victory point for our Imperial Guard players, and this does put the Space Marine players in a position where they need to be the ones to make a move. Now, problem for them, though, is they've got 2 players, double las cannons. So, talk about those las cannons, but there's a Commissar Flare going to make both of them reduce their range. Power Fist comes in from the Force Commander, so no Heavy Flamer this time on a Terminator. But eventually those las cannons are going to set up again. There needs to be more support, but most of the Imperial Guard is on this side of the map. Okay, actually it does just look like this is... Who is this? This is LOCALgHOST. Oh, it's LOCALgHOST and Katla. I think this is a repair bunker. Oh my god, a Bane Blade! Oh no. Somebody call Vance Stubbs. They just lost another Bane Blade. Meanwhile, going to be plasma cannons just actually destroying that bunker from long range. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a Vance Stubbs Bane Blade. Oh, actually, it looks like maybe he wants to capture it. All right, while I'm watching him eventually capture that, more things are going to happen here. More assault cannon barrages going in and ripping apart guardsmen. Meanwhile, it looks like a whirlwind went down there, a little bit too close to the Lehman Russ, but the Lehman Russ goes down as well. This is not looking good for our Imperial Guard players, losing too many units at this time. I swear, they really need that las cannon heavy weapon team. But here's just another Guardsman infantry squad. They're getting pushed out. I mean, at this point, they've straight up lost the Space Marine natural. They're not going to keep the contested victory point. And I think this is going to basically start being the victory countdown. Oh no! Friendly plasma cannon shot. Wiping attack squad. Stern Guard veterans even. Ooh. As embarrassing as that was, along with that Tech Marine kill, I actually don't even think it's going to be enough to save the... Oh no! The orbital bombardment. Let's see what gets caught in this. Not too much yet. Okay, there is actually really doesn't capture that much in it. It's barely hitting the... I don't think it's actually hitting the bunker at all. Let's see what that explosion. Okay, it does actually do damage to the bunker. I think if it was placed like directly on the bunker, I think that would be a straight up kill on the bunker. Armor of the Apothecarian. That is that heal over time in an area armor. And I mean, it's good in general. It's especially good like once you have Terminators. It doesn't look like... Alright, Taneli really not in a position to get Terminators, but still going to be good just on his Assault Marines. He doesn't have Attack Squad anymore, so mainly just good on his Assault Marines. But not too bad on these squishier squads as well. Once they start to take damage, can prevent them from losing models a little bit earlier than they otherwise would. So, engagement going on down here that I'm totally not paying attention to. This is going to be a Stormtrooper squad. Castricans are going to come in somewhere as well, but they've actually already retreated off the field. Well, I'm mispronouncing words. That is a rocket run. I don't like the rocket run there. Not a high-value rocket run at all. Terminators really just shrug off that damage. Force Commander teleporting aggressively with the Power Fist. Does need to retreat. Force Melee? No. No Force Melee from the Catachan Devils. I'm pretty sure that could have been a wipe on the Force Commander if the Catachan Devils had just Force Melee'd. But this is now looking like we're getting to the point of no return. Like, I think once... I'm not sure, but I feel like if you don't start capturing by about 14 or 15 victory points, I think that's basically just straight up the game in favor of the Space Marines, which would also mean our series in favor of them as well. Local Ghost calling for vials, but I mean, we're at the point where it doesn't even really matter. They've already won the game, or have they? Here is a decap by some Melta Stormtroopers. So, just kidding. Game is not over. I debated you. That was the Emperor's Wrath from the Commissar actually executing one of those Terminator models. Does scare them off. So, our Guard players are holding on, but just barely. Man, this top has just not... Okay, I mean, the Tech Marine goes down. Because we're seeing that Sniper Rifle from the Lord General just increasing the range of all these squads, I'm pretty sure, you know what else would get its range increased by that Sniper Rifle from the Lord General? I think... Oh my god, so many models dying there, though. I think a las cannon would also get its range increased, and that would be real nice against these Dreadnoughts, because both Dreadnoughts are still alive. Even that multi-melted Dreadnought that I don't even approve of. Merciless Strike goes down. Going to be forcing retreats. Oh my god, that's even going to leave a position where this could be... Oh no, it's right in front of... I don't know, actually. Okay. I don't know how much impact that's going to have in terms of winning the game, but that is really fun. Just so he... Local Ghost stole the bunker, but the bunker was rigged to explode, and it was just detonated. It was booby-trapped, and if you kill a unit when it's inside a bunker, it will just kill them from full health no matter what. I mean, that Tech Marine only had something like 30% of his hit points, but it was still funny. So, I mean, this game is actually going on longer than I thought. Kaios trying to focus on this. Might actually, oh, I was going to say, might wipe the scouts. Still not doing anything about these Dreadnoughts, though. I mean, he doesn't even have the resources. I guess he's just paying so much in Guardsman reinforcement costs that he's having trouble even buying a heavy weapon team. I mean, eventually right now it's really on this, as much as they are bullying Kaios in this top lane, it's really on the Space Marines to make a play for the bottom. So Terminator's going to initiate the cap, so now it's... And then it needs to be focus fire on the Terminators. That needs to be the response. Ooh, Emperor's Wrath. That's going to scare them off. Even does some damage to them in return, because that Emperor's Wrath, that will hit them hard. They do just teleport out, and they are actually just scared off entirely from that. So, it actually looks like either this is going to be a hard flank, except if it is a flank, it has been spotted and sniffed out. Otherwise, I would think it was an attempt to capture this. Manticore also potentially in trouble if they do sniff that out. Here's the Manticore Strike coming in, though. Manticore Strike can do a decent amount of damage to vehicles. But instead, mostly focusing on the Tactical Marines. Here is another Lemon, as they've been affectionately called, but only with that battle cannon. Not going to be hugely effective. Oh no, and it's exposing rear armor to a missile attack as well as a melt-a-tech marine. So Manticore also does get out of there. Or does it? This is actually... Oh my god. LOCALgHOST has been a bully all game. He's going to finish off the Lehman Russ at base. There was really not much of a reason why that should have happened to the Lehman Russ. Meanwhile, down here, it is finally a decap for the Space Marines, and oh, now this is, without any debates, this is undoubtedly the game in favor of our Space Marines. Managed to force off the Guard on the Space Marine Natural. They take it back, and there is no opportunity for our Guard players to get a decap that will keep them in this game. So, now it is in fact game, set, and match in favor of our... What's with those vials? In favor of the Space Marines. So, another... I like this faction war. I do feel... I like this better than the last two faction wars that I had cast. You can let me know in the comments whether you prefer it or not. At any rate, that will be it. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good night.